Gibson, and I did the art and music in Thumper.
I'm Mark Fleury. I did all the programming, and we both did the game design for Thumper.
Thanks so much for coming in, especially yourself, who's clearly on
I'm
the
a little
weather
bit sick, yeah.
How's that GDC fever going?
Good. It's good. It's great.
From start to finish, it was maybe about 7 years. Started as an idea that was like Brian had even before we started working together, and then it was maybe for me 2 years. It was like a part-time thing, like at nights and weekends, and then almost 5 years full-time programming on the game.
All right. Where did you guys originally meet then?
Well, actually, already these questions are complicated.
I think we met each other a long time ago in Chicago when Brian was playing with his band Lightning Bolt.
Oh, cool.
But that was like, I don't know, 2002 or something. But
Right.
we didn't really know each other.
We weren't that familiar with each other.
Mm.
Yeah. But then we ended up working at Harmonix in Boston together. Or I mean, we worked there, but we never actually worked on anything together there.
Right.
And then
Different departments or?
yeah, different projects.
Right.
And then yeah, we never really talked very much. And it wasn't really until Thumper that we kind of actually started talking to each other and became friends. We just kind of knew who each other was. Yeah.
I confronted him actually, like outside the elevator at Harmonix, and I was looking for a programmer that would be excited about doing a project on the side for fun. I wasn't interested in making money. I just was feeling like it would be fun to express other stuff outside of work.
Yeah, I mean, at first it wasn't clear that we were signing up to go on this like 7-year project together. It just started very organically and slow. And I, at that time, you know, like I had been programming for 5 years professionally, but it was kind of always doing user interfaces and menus. I didn't really feel like a real game developer. I mean, there were interesting problems, and it was cool to be involved with big games like Guitar Hero and Rock Band, but it was kind of pigeonholed, you know, just by I learned something, and then they just want me to keep doing that.
I was an effects artist, and at that time I think I was probably working on Rock Band, one of the Rock Bands, maybe 2.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'll sort of bleed into each other?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, I had a pretty tight niche at Harmonix. I didn't really do that much aside from just effects.
Right.
And some of the UI stuff, like the gems coming down on the track. But yeah, everything is so specialized. You just want to you kind of want to do everything, you know, and there's no way to, and it's hard working in a big group. So as you work at a big company like that for a while, you just start to really itch to have a little more creative control. Yeah, you know, I'm sure everybody has this, but when you work in a team, if you have strong opinions and they're outsider opinions, or they're not like, your agenda isn't necessarily to make something that's the most appealing to the most possible people. You want to make something cool for you and maybe your friends or something like that, or you just want to try something new and take a risk and be experimental. I've always done stuff like that. So at Harmonix, you know, I would often like throw out ideas like that, and I just had a lot of trouble with like how dismissive that, you know, you can't get anywhere with that attitude. Like, let's do this weird thing. So,
Right.
Which makes perfect sense. You know, they have, as a company, different obligations.
Right.
Like in 2009, I think our goal was like make an Xbox Live arcade game for Xbox 360, right? So we missed that generation of consoles, right? And then we had no idea that would turn into a VR game. And yeah, when I moved to Korea 5 years ago is kind of when I went full-time on Thumper. And then Brian left Harmonix a little bit later.
Yeah, I did the last year and a half. I was full-time on Thumper.
What were you trying to do with Thumper that you couldn't have done at Harmonix?
It's a big question, and I think as an artist, you don't really know why you want to do things necessarily. I mean, it would be hard maybe to articulate the purpose, but I think when I think about it, or what I like to think is that I do have my own take on the experience of music and how it can affect you emotionally. And I guess that Harmonix, they were really into the rock star thing. And I guess even in Lightning Bolt, I have like a lot of conflicting feelings. I'm in a band called Lightning Bolt, and I'm like not super comfortable on stage. I don't really enjoy it. I don't really enjoy being the center of attention. And there's that ego gratification side of it, and we all have that. But like I'm also just uncomfortable about it. And I really do feel like there's a genuine reason to play music that's about something completely different, or a genuine reason to interact with music or to get lost in it. And I think it's more like a drug or a way to expand or get in touch with emotions, certain emotions and feelings, and get lost in them. And it's like it's a creative expression. All of that stuff I felt like wasn't necessarily being addressed.
And what do you think it was about the way in which Thumper plays that sort of unlocks that side or expresses that side of performing music or even enjoying music?
There's two things. You don't really know what's going on. You don't understand what the world is, I think. It's just it kind of knocks you out of reality in this way you're completely in another dimension. It's not even outer space. It's like inside your mind somewhere. And I feel like when you make someone feel like they're in that kind of reality, it's got to do something to them. I don't know what it does, but and then same with the music. I wanted like musically for it to be not something that people would necessarily recognize as music, right? But it would have all the qualities of music that make you feel emotions. I like the idea with Thumper to try to remove any cultural associations that people might have where they're like, oh, I don't like that kind of music. Like, it's just so different and alien to them. Or I don't really like the way this game looks. Like, people don't understand enough about what it is they're looking at that they can even have a judgment about it.
Right. I think Thumper, like, almost is, I mean, to me, it's more like just an action game. It almost has, like, the rhythm and the sort of satisfaction of, like, a fighter or brawler or whatever they call that genre. But, there's just, like, a few interactions in Thumper. Like, the beat matching feels pretty good. Like you said, that always is, like, a classic rhythm game thing. But, like, the way the turns feel was, I think, the most important kind of discovery we made. And that's what I think people play the game for, actually. Right. Sort of like in a hockey game, like, you're just excited to, like, check people. And that's why you play the hockey game. And I think Thumper is like, there's just a few things, like the turns or pounding things that feel good to do. I mean, we'd been showing the game for, I don't know, maybe 6 months, maybe a bit longer, maybe about a year, and we got pretty good buzz and some articles, and people were excited about it, and a lot of people brought up VR in relation to the game. And I don't know that either of us knew that it would be good in VR. A lot of us, or we might have just thought, oh, it'd probably make you sick. It's probably like I wasn't that excited about VR. I thought a lot of the tech or the demos I'd done were kind of dumb, but I think we just like couldn't resist trying, and we kind of had to convince Sony to send us a PSVR kit, especially because I live in Korea and it's like annoying for them to ship it there. But and then I think I spent it like just a couple weeks and I got it working, and then Brian came to Korea like about a year ago for like 3 or 4 days, and during those few days we figured out like all the issues. Right. Like it was mostly kind of adjusting visual elements to be optimized for like the field of view and the experience of VR, and I just think we got pretty lucky that it just kind of works. Like Brian had this really smart idea about like in VR it felt slower, right? Because the field of view is more limited, so you don't have the same sense of depth. And we basically stretched out the whole world in front of you by like 2 times. So you're going twice as fast, but it feels like the same speed. Huh. And this was like something that most games couldn't do, and was just like the perfect solution for our game.
What was it like working remotely for such a long time? I mean, that's a pretty meaty time difference.
I liked it. Also because I'm a morning person and he's an evening person, so we have this really good pattern where I get up and I'm totally alert, and we Skype, and he's done everything he's going to do for the day, and he's totally alert somehow.
A couple things that are sort of interesting, maybe a little hard to describe, but like in our editor, So when you're making a video game, you've got like thousands of files, and every of these files might have like hundreds of little objects in them, like texture, music file, mesh, like 3D geometry. And because we had a custom engine that we built, and we did something where you could like copy like a URL, like a web page sort of link to an object and email it to the other person. And then when that person clicks it on their computer, it opens up our editor with that object. So like, we were like trying to solve bugs or like point out issues to each other. And so yeah, we had a lot of tools that kind of were optimized for this time difference.
Right.
It's amazing. I mean, the reactions, just the reviews and the user reviews and articles we've gotten about it, it's been super unexpected and gratifying. I mean, it's awesome. I'm really happy with that. I hate to say it's really important to me how people feel about it, and it is a weird thing to make something that's like, I don't know what your feelings are, but to make something that's challenging or a little bit offensive, or it's going to be pushing people in an uncomfortable place. I guess I had no idea how that would play out. If people would be like, this is just a bunch of noise and I can't tell what I'm looking at, or if people would sort of see the cool side of that. And so it was really cool to see that a lot of people, something that I thought would be kind of challenging and weird and niche, like super niche, was, I mean, it's not like a huge game, but like people that, write for magazines and think about games, the stuff they wrote about it was really thoughtful, and I feel like they got what we were trying to do. And that was, I guess that's the thing that's gratifying, is like, I don't know if you like it or you don't like it, but just understand what we're doing, or so, like, know why we did what we did. And it just seemed like a lot of people understanding it, or sometimes people misunderstood it, but in a thoughtful way. So.
Right.
There's actually, there's like a lot of levels on like what reception means, like to yourself, to your peers, like other developers and artists, and then like critics and the public and like the sales.
Right.
And I mean, I think for me personally, it was just like a personal satisfaction, like a huge challenge to overcome. And now like I can just take my ego out of it and just be like, yeah, it's its own game. It has its own problems, and I'm just kind of happy that it exists. Right. And I don't have to care so much. But I think we kind of succeeded in all of these areas pretty well, at least, like even sales. And like, but you can't ever bank on that. It's like, it felt like so lucky and so much work, and it was like a huge personal cost.
Right, yeah.
But somehow it just all worked out. So I hope Thumper made his contribution, and like as an art person, like personally, I see there's like a lot of flaws in it, or we could have taken things further. And my most precious dream would be that like other designers would see that and do something new or be inspired by it, even the flaws or the bad things about the game. And I'm really excited to work on a different genre of game after 10 years of rhythm games.